used in Ireland, primarily associated with Gaelic Irish, but also, if you read a lot of accounts about these being used, Northern Ireland and Ulster, Protestants used them too. It was just sort of a cultural thing. Basically what it comes from in Ireland, like all conquered peoples, when their nobility leaves, so do most of the warriors. So most of the stuff you learn in HEMA classes are from like, you know, nobility downward to like the knightly class or gentleman class later on, you know. But when that leaves and you have a conquered people, which happened in Ireland in the 1500s, Red Hugh O'Donnell, his big rebellion lost against Queen Elizabeth. They all left for Europe. And so you had the peasants and the other people, but nobody represent them. But you still have people that are fighters, and even if like weapons and metal are banned, at some points knives were even banned, sort of like it's going on in the UK now. You can't really ban a stick, especially if it's a walking in. Even today, you could probably take most of these on an airplane, especially if it was like an actual cane. But if it doesn't look too crazy or threatening, too big a ball, and it can go anywhere, right? That's one of the good things about it. It's a weapon that's always in hand. And so basically in late 18th century, you'll start seeing some stuff written about it, but it's mainly like 1800s, like 19th century stuff. You'll start seeing a whole lot more, and it becomes a culture associated with it. So you see a lot of people, a lot of Irishmen walking around with these sticks, and a lot of fights were settled that way. There was also something called faction fighting that developed, sort of like at these county fairs, and it was sort of big groups of people would get together, and that could be just friends by association, families, whatnot, but they would have these big fights, and it would turn into like big epic brawls, you know, with these sticks. Sometimes people would die in them. A lot of times didn't happen as much as possible. People just getting knocked out or hurt real bad.
I was gonna say, oh, this is a broken skull.
There were games where you could wear a hat, and the object was to knock your opponent's hat off.
Oh, yeah.
And then once that ended, you could go for the head.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, sort of like single stick, so like first blood, or whoever knocked out the other person first. There's books out there, there's tons of stories and accounts written, so it's pretty cool history. But basically it's because if you don't have other types of weapons, you can still use these. There's accounts of guys in Ireland bragging that they could beat English swordsmen, fencing masters that came over, even soldiers like against saber and cutlass.
Mm-hmm.
They got pretty good with these sticks, like really good fencing, but just from doing, not from studying a manual, just from practicing a lot, learning techniques, which is kind of cool with folk fencing, folk martial arts.